time for a little paint. All right, before I can get too far on paint, I need to take care of the canopy. Now, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be gluing this on here and gluing it in place on the aircraft. Okay, but before I can do that, I need to take care of this right here, which is where I had to get rid of the, what you call, sprue gate. I got that cut off as close as I could, and then I had to do a little bit of sanding. And as you can see, it's kind of scuffled. So what I did is I sanded it down with this 800 grit stick first, and then using these micro mesh sanding sponge things, I just went through the grits and got it as smooth as I possibly could. Then after that, I will be doing this. I am going to be using that which shall not be named to do the canopy. Basically, I'm just going to squirt some in there like that to where it's submerged. Then take a pair of my tweezers, make sure as much of it is off of there as possible, and I'm going to set it right here on my canopy drying rack, created from this little Tupperware thing here, so as to keep the dust off while it dries. Set that aside, and then clean my tools up before they get dried future all over them. Alright, well that is drying. Let's talk a little bit about the devil's fluid future. So here's the thing. Oftentimes you will hear the argument, it's not designed for models. That is very true. Neither is this. Neither is this. Neither is this. Etc., etc. You get the idea. No, it's not designed specifically for modeling, but it does have some uses. Now, would I cover a whole aircraft or something in it? No, I wouldn't. But it works for canopies. Now, a lot of people say, why don't you just get some polishing paste and buffer wheels and all that kind of stuff. I've done that. It's very tedious and time consuming. This has always worked for me when I've had to use it. I've even successfully diminished those hideous right down the center of the canopy type seams, like on, say, a Tamiya F-16. I've gotten rid of those, sand them down, get them as smooth as I can, dunk it in future, let it dry, and it works. There's the other argument, well, it yellows after time. Well, this is definitely not clear, so to speak. It does have a yellowish cast to it. I've never been able to see it on a canopy, probably because it's so thin. And if it does yellow enough to where you can see it, a number of things could have happened to this kit before that ever happens, that it's noticeable. Grandkids could have smashed it. I could have passed on to the great beyond, whatever. So my point is, no, it's not specifically made for model building, but occasionally it does have uses. So, you know, if you want to do something else, that's fine. That's what I do. Don't be afraid to use it if you want to do so. So I'm going to let that dry, and then we will glue the canopy and the canopy frame to this wonderful kit here, hopefully. And yeah, then we'll just move on. Okay, so here we are with the First coat of primer. I got the canopy installed and the masking and everything. Got the primer on it, and there are there's some more seam work that needs to be done, especially on the bottom. So for this, I'm going to use my Mr. Surfacer 500 and see if I can get it to fill in a little bit better. It just stinks because I've got these pylons on there, but I'll just have to work around them. But yeah, other than that, the seams on the fuselage and stuff came out fine. The seams here, you can see them, but it's more of a difference in sheen than an actual like ghost seam or whatever you want to call it. So I think those are actually okay. But I missed a spot right there that I'm gonna have to fix. But anyway, that's how I'm gonna have to do some work with that and then get that all sanded down. So I'm gonna do that real quick and see what happens. All right, so here is the bottom after it's been done. Now I got some sheen difference here, and I think it'll be fine, you know, as far as when I spray the aluminum, silver, all that kind of stuff on it. But I got rid of those quote-unquote ghost seams. I had a few more to fill on the top, but they're not too bad. So at some point, I think I'll make a video on the different putties that I use and how they react and stuff like that. But suffice it to say, the thing that worked the best for filling those in was this Mr. Surfacer 500. It's thick enough and it dries fairly quickly, and it filled in the it filled in the panel lines really well. The 1000 just way too thin, and this Mr. Hobby dissolved putty, that might have worked better if I would have worked it down into the lines better, but I think they were so fine that some of them were just kind of like bridging across and not really getting down into the actual panel line stuff to fill it in. So anyway, I'm going to let that dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to do some test painting with some various colors here to see what I want to use on the different locations of the aircraft. For example, the wings need to be silver and not aluminum. So I've got a couple here. One is silver, one is super silver, and then I've got the super silver and Mr. Color. So it'll be interesting to see what those look like. But in looking at the bottom of the bottles, the super silver is way more shiny like compared to the silver, so I think those will probably be the two I use. But I'm going to use my mule and I'm going to spray silver here, then I'll spray this super silver here, and then once those dry I will tape it off and I will spray this super silver in the middle, and that way I can kind of judge which one I want to use, or if any of them will work. So I'm going to do that off camera. Once I do it, then come back and we'll take a look. All right, so I've come quite a ways since that last little clip there, but as you can see, I've got the metal colors and the red sprayed on. So I ended up using Tamiya LP11 silver for the wings and SMS metallic super silver for the rest of the aircraft. And you can see there is some pretty good differentiation in the sheen there. Hopefully you can see on these ailerons here and the wings. Now for some reason I use the same color here and here, This one came out more silver, but yet it's different than the wings. So I was thinking about, you know, spraying these to match, but I'm not going to bother. Got some differentiation going there, so I'm fine with that. And the same thing happened here. I don't know if it's my primer or what, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. I like the look of it. Then I used a combination of Tamiya vinyl, flexible tape, and just regular Tamiya masking tape. I used the vinyl to do this part here, and then used the regular to fill in the rest, and sprayed the red portions with MRP Insignia Red. Now, if a person were going to be using decals, the decals from the kit, this Insignia Red here matches identically to the Insignia Red that's on the Cartograph decals supplied in the kit. I got a little dot of this and put it next to the decal that you use for going around the spinner here, and it matches perfectly. So if you were inclined to use the decal to do this part here, you could do so, and it would match, at least it would match this brand of Insignia Red on the dot. So I was pretty stoked about that. But I went ahead and just taped it off. It was really easy. Maybe sometime I'll show how I do curved surfaces like this using regular Tamiya masking tape. For some things, I like the regular Tamiya tape better than the vinyl, because the vinyl, it seems like the adhesive can slide a little bit whenever you're doing a curve. So I just kind of create a close curve with the regular Tamiya yellow tape and put it around, you know, for compound curves. But you know, whatever. But so far, and then I did the black trim tabs, and I got the prop finished as well. The way I did the prop is I had primed it with Mr. Surfacer 1500, cut 50/50 with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, MLT. And then I used white to spray the ends of the prop blades. Then using it's RLM 04 yellow. I used that and sprayed on the prop tips. Then I just got a little piece of masking tape put over each end and resprayed it with the black 1500 primer. So the prop is done. And I will also be using this to spray the yellow stripes. That's the part that's next. But I'll get to that shortly. So I've got the gear doors, the prop spinner, all that sprayed red. So I can basically assemble the spinner and the propeller, set that aside, and that'll be ready for final installation. So the parts I have left to spray, excuse me, are these yellow stripes here. And I haven't decided if I'm going to spray the walkways. I'll probably use the decal for that, but I need to measure it so I get the stripes applied appropriately. These yellow stripes here that are over the top and the bottom. So I'm going to glue the landing gear bay doors in. I'm going to tape the stripes off, and then I think I am going to spray those warning marks there. But I need to spray it off, and what I'll do is I'll do the same thing I did on everything else. I taped everything off, used Mr. Surfacer 1500 white, sprayed down a base of that, then sprayed my color over top of that. That way I have a nice base to start with, and it won't alter the color too much. and it'll remain consistent all the way around, because if I were to, the yellow might not look yellow if I sprayed it right directly over this metal finish. So that's what I need to do next. I need to get cracking with some tape and some primer and some paint. So after I do all that, I'll come back and we'll take a look. All right, so as you can see here, I've got the filler caps, the fuel caps sprayed red. Got the yellow stripes sprayed. Looks pretty cool. I like it. And then I also did the anti-glare panel. So the next thing I am ready to do is the exhaust. So I need to install those. I need to paint them first, and I'll paint them a steel color just with a brush, and then I'm going to lightly stain them up with a little bit of tan of some kind to kind of give it that kind of tan sooty look, and then I can glue them into place. Okay, so I got the steel painted around that. It's somewhat subtle, but I didn't want it too drastic. And I got the exhaust glued into place. So I think with that, I'm ready for decals. All right, so that concludes part number 3 of the Airfix 1/48 scale P-51D Mustang. So next time, when I come back for part number 4, I'll do the decals, I'll do the clear coat, and probably be able to wrap up the construction of this thing. So as always, thanks for following along. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, I will add a link to the end to the rest of the series, and maybe think about subscribing if you like my content. And yeah, so that's it. As always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.